Hey everybody, welcome back to Premium Picks. UFC 303, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Oh wait, that's canceled. Anthony Smith versus Alberg. Nope, that's canceled too. We've got the rematch. We've got Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka. And truth be told, obviously it's disappointing Conor fights off, but this is probably the best suitable replacement possible in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you're guaranteed a knockout here. It's as good as we're going to get. So we got to roll with the punches and look to make some money here. Before we break it down, please subscribe. And first fight of the night, here we go. We've got Ricky Simon versus Vinicius Oliveira. There's no need to overcomplicate things, overthink things. If Ricky can take him down and use the wrestling, he should cruise here, like very easily. Vinicius has shown pretty poor takedown defense, in fact. And if Ricky can't get the takedown or he plays around on the feet too long, he's going to get knocked out because Oliveira is a devastating striker in his own right. Every single part of me wants to pick Oliveira. I hate Ricky. I find him boring as hell. But like this is a fight Ricky has to win. Like he just has to. I'm not gonna bet it. I'm gonna be rooting for Oliveira. I'm gonna be rooting for that knockout. But I think we see Ricky absolutely grapple fuck him here. So the pick is gonna be Ricky by grapple fuck. What do you think?
Styles make fights. You're right. You saw in that last fight with Sopai, like if Sopai didn't gas in the third round, I think he wins that fight against Vinicius Oliveira. Yeah, he was outstriking him for and out grappling him for 2 rounds, and he looked pretty good. And Vinicius looked a step behind. It was a hell of a devastating knee that he hit him with. But I think that was more gassing than anything. And if there's one thing Ricky the Steamboat Simone doesn't do, it's gas. He doesn't really gas. When he's outstruck. And if he can't take you down, then he looks like a deer in headlights. But I don't see that problem here. I think the grappling edge is so large. And Ricky Simone is known to go for multiple takedowns. He's known to go for 8, 10, even if Vinicius gets up, he'll keep going back to it. Yeah, I think the odds are fair enough for Ricky, as such a grapple heavy approach would win the fight.
Yep, no, I agree. Moving on, 125-pound division, we got Carlos Hernandez versus newcomer Ray Tsuruya. Hernandez, very tough guy. He's had some fights where he looked great, but recently, very recently, he looked absolutely lost and overwhelmed by a fellow big grappler similar to Ray here. We Tatsuro Taira. He absolutely dominated, took him down, and submitted him like it was nothing. And honestly, I think this fight's pretty much the same. So give me Tsuruya by being the far superior grappler and by being too strong. He should be able to get the takedowns, no problem. And if he gets those takedowns, he's going to dominate the fight. And that's what I think happens here. The only red flag is just the level of competition. We haven't seen it yet, but all signs point to this should look like the Tyra fight, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, I wanted to fade him at minus 500, and I tried in all my tape study to fade him. But like against a guy like Carlos Hernandez, who has suspect takedown defense, like this guy looks like either Rinya Nakamura or a better version of Rinya Nakamura. Like to be honest with you, he's got a little bit more urgency on the ground. Rinya takes his time and kind of like, but they're about the same thing. They both come from the road to the UFC Asian edition kind of fighters. And like you said, red flag, but like it's not like this grappling is like dominating grappling that he has. And you know that Tyra all he really has is grappling. Didn't look so good on the feet still, but when he was up against Carlos Hernandez, that's all he needed was the grappling. And I feel like Tsuruya, all he needs is the grappling here too. Another grapple heavy fight. I don't know if he's gonna finish him because Carlos is pretty tough, but Tyra finished him, and this guy has just as maybe not as good jits, but the ground game is just up there as well. So
All right. Moving on to the heavyweight division, we have got the pit bull, Andre Arlovski. Can't believe he's still fighting. I swear, every breakdown we do of his, I say he's getting retired here. He's getting knocked out and retired. But but he keeps coming back. He keeps coming back, and he's facing Martin Buday. And again, this is a guy that every breakdown I do, I say he does not impress me. Buday is not impressive. I don't like him at all. But I'm never going to pick Andre Arlovski to win a fight. So Andre Arlovski, basically, hey, this fight is going to be striker versus striker. Neither are huge knockout punchers. Arlovski has no power. He's a pitter patter decisionator. So Andre Arlovski decision or Martin Buday knockout. Buday is not really a knockout puncher, really either. But I still think Buday gets it done. Absolutely. The pick is Buday. I don't know why Andre Arlovski is still fighting. Um, and Buday, even if he wins by first round knockout, it doesn't really do anything for me. I don't think he's anything special. What do you think?
I don't like Buday, and I after that Lucas Bresky fight where they gifted him that win, and then he didn't look so good against Shamil. It was Gadzi, what's his name was the last fight? Just
Guys, yeah,
overpowered.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I can't say the guy's name. Too many obs and eves and all that shit, man. But like, you know what I mean? I watched the fight. He got blasted. He got the guy just came right after him. Granted, Arlovski's not going to come right after him, but I mean, fuck, he's 45. If this fight was Arlovski at 40, I'd pick him by decision because the 5 years and the red flag and the oldness has got me. But these are the types of guys that Andre beats, right? I don't think I want to bet on this fight, to be honest with you. Because I want to pick Andre Arlovski so bad by decision. So bad. There. Give him one right before he fucking goes. Because Martin Buday is nothing. And he shows a little bit of urgency like one fight, and then he shows like nothing the next fight. And I don't know, man. He just likes to hold guys up against the cage. Honestly, the overs are in play in this fight, to be honest with you. The overs are in play. I don't see Arlovski getting knocked out. This guy isn't a devastating power puncher by a Delima. I like the overs here, to be honest with you.
All right, there you have it. Next up on the card, we got Michelle, the Karate Hottie, Waterson Gomez versus Jillian Robertson. Um, on paper, you'd think you have a striker versus grappler here, with Michelle Waterson being the striker, obviously Robertson a heavy jiu-jitsu practitioner. But I feel like Waterson actually kind of does her best work against grapplers when she grapples, because I don't find her to be a great striker anyways. She's okay when she wrestles. So if she can get that top position, that's when she does her best. I choose against Michelle Waterson every single time she faces a striker, every single time she faces someone with power. I think she's fucked. But Jillian Robertson doesn't have that. So I actually think that out of all the fights they could give Michelle Waterson, that this is the most winnable. Do I think she's going to win? No. But she's not going to get knocked out at least, because like she's not going to get starched by a big hitting striker here. So I think this potentially could go longer than most of her fights I would choose. It could be more competitive than a lot of fights matchups that she could be given, but I still cannot pick Michelle Waterson. I just can't. And honestly, I don't love Jillian Robertson either, but still, she's got to be the better grappler. And unless she gets held down for 3 rounds, she should be able to find some scrambles, get on top, and win the fight ultimately. What do you think?
I'm probably gonna put a single in Michelle Waterson Gomez because I have no belief in Jillian Robertson's wrestling. I think her jits game's good. Gomez sports the 70% takedown. Like no, over the years she's not been taken down and just ridden out, right? And her last three fights, like they've been pretty close. I mean, like she's fought like Amanda Lemos, Marina Rodriguez, Luana Pinheiro, and then Marina Rodriguez. And that Pinheiro one could have went her way. She outstruck her and took her down. She didn't win against Rodriguez and Lemos, but those are tough fights. A lot tougher than anything her counterparts ever went up against. Jillian Roberts has never touched that sort of like competition in the realm of this division, right? And so, dude, I just don't think she takes her down. And on the feet, if you think Jillian Roberts is a better striker than Michelle Waterson, then you're in trouble. Like, there's not a fucking chance that she's a better striker. I just don't think she takes her down. If she takes her down, Jillian Robertson obviously wins. But for minus 200, if she can keep it standing, oh, she wins this easily. Jillian Robertson's robotic on the feet at best. She does all her best work on the ground. So I say Waterson uses her takedown defense and her expertise and her experience, keeps it standing, and she's the far better striker.
I agree with you on the striking and all that. I just for some reason I think it's going to be a grappling match, but hey, you could definitely be right.
Off the ground with Jillian. She knows, man. If she keeps that on the feet, Jillian has nothing on the feet. Nothing.
I agree. All right, moving on to 135 division. We've got 8-0 Peyton Talbott, who looked absolutely incredible last fight, and he is taking on 12-2 Yanis Ghemmouri. The odds are just ridiculous. You cannot bet this fight. Like I'm on the Peyton Talbott train after his last performance. I thought that performance, the guy looked like an absolute Terminator. But at minus 1400 or whatever, that's what he was yesterday. I don't even know what he's in at right now. But regardless, you can't bet that odds. He's doing nothing for your parlays. Like, he's not going to get busted, but it's just not worth it. But give me Peyton Talbot by being better everywhere. I think he's just going to be too strong, too fast, too athletic, too good. Peyton Talbot's going to win the fight. What do you think?
The guy he beat last time was better than the guy he's facing now. Fuck up. That's all I have to really say. There's nothing much to say. All I have to say is this: it gets to minus 2,000, I'll fucking throw a dollar or two on Ghemmouri and hope for the best, right? That's really what's gonna happen. I'm not betting this fight unless it gets to minus something ridiculous. Because FanDuel had it like minus 3,000, right? You know what I mean? Like I'll put a fucking $5 on Ghemmouri. Peyton Talbot slips on a banana peel and tears his ACL. Like whatever. I'm not betting on Peyton Talbot though. I think the inside the distance is probably going to be somewhere in the net of minus 600, 700. That's so
Too
stupid.
much. All right, moving on to the 145-pound division. We got the Canadian fan favorite, Charles Jourdain versus John Silva. Striker versus striker. Jourdain looked like shit last fight. I believe it was last fight against Woodson. He looked really bad. But Woodson's an awkward, tough guy to fight with his height and range and all that. So can't look too much into it. And then you got Silva, who's coming in as with the background of being a devastating striker, a huge knockout guy. Nobody wants to strike with him. Yeah, he knocked out Weston Wilson pretty good. But the one thing that I noticed was I thought he was kind of plodding and like not overly fast. And maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen the guy too many times, so this is a fight I'm not betting at all. But everyone seems to tell me that Silva's going to outstrike Jourdain easily, and I'm not so sure about it. I feel like Jourdain does have the range, the reach, maybe the volume, the speed, and for all his flaws, he's pretty tough. So he does have a chin. Like I don't think he's going to get knocked out by Silva. I don't think. So I actually think the overs are live here, and it's just a fight I don't want to bet. After Jourdain's last performance looking bad and Silva not being sold on completely, it's a pass for me. But I think the overs are live here. What do you think?
If Silva's still a dog, I'll probably pick him. Just because I don't hold Jourdain as what does he do well? What does he really do well? I don't
Volume.
maybe, but I think Silva can throw just as much volume as Jourdain. And if they're gonna go pitter patter for punch, I think Silva throws harder. Um, Ground game wise, I don't know. Jourdain's been known to be taken down. I don't think Silva is going to employ that game plan. But Jourdain definitely can be taken down. I think this is just going to be on the feet. And I mean, I like the striking of Silva. I think he's a little bit more powerful. Jourdain might have a little bit more volume, but like I don't know, man. The way the UFC has been judged these days, like volume doesn't count over power anymore. Like it's a
But do
little
you think he knocks him out, or do you think it goes for a while? Like I said,
that's a tough one. Jourdain has been shown to show a good chin, so but I also think I've watched the tape on Silva. I also think he's a little bit better than people give him a little bit of credit for, like too, right? So it's a tough fight. I'm not saying that I'm laying $100 million on this fight. I'm going to say that I might take a half a unit shot on John Silva if it stays plus money. Prop wise, buddy, I don't know about that. Maybe if we do another show later on this week, I could think of a prop, but over 1.5. If they're going to give you something like minus 150, minus 165, and over 1.5, I think that's a good bet. I think this goes over 1.5 for sure. Now the whole thing, who knows? But over 1.5, I think for sure.
all right. Moving on, again in the 145-pound division, we got the battle of the veterans. We got Cub Swanson, 29-13 versus 23-11, Andre Fili. Fili is coming off of that knockout loss to Dan Ige, I believe, where obviously he looked like shit. But Dan Ige, I'm going to say at this point in their careers, is a lot better than Cub Swanson. Maybe not in his prime, but I think right now Dan Ige would smoke Cub Swanson. I think as far as this fight goes, they're actually pretty similar fighters. I feel like they both got snap on their punches. They still do both have power, but they both have major durability issues. And they're both decent grapplers. Like they're not big wrestlers, but they both have chokes if that comes into play, which I don't think it does. Ultimately, I think this fight is a close to a coin flip. Like I absolutely lean Andre Fili. I think Fili's going to win the fight, but I think because of both of them having such terrible durability, it's a dangerous fight to bet on because it could be just a matter of who lands first and one of them's going down. So I think we do see a finish here. I think somebody's chin or body or whatever is not going to hold up. I think we see a knockout, and I'm going to lean on it as Fili, but inside the distance regardless. What do you think?
I think Fili's been getting knocked out, by like power punchers, though. You know what I mean? So Ige does have a good one power punch, and then see when he lost to Nathaniel Wood, it was by decision. But then he fights as a guy like Joe Anderson Brito and he gets power punched, right? So, but then he goes up against Bryce Mitchell and gets unanimous. So I think it's about the power punching, and so does Cub still have that fastball on him? I don't think so. And that's the thing. So I feel he might have a compromised chin, but if he's not up against a fastball and he's only up against a curveball then what's who cares, right? That shouldn't matter. He's more well-rounded than Cub. Uh Cub just I don't think he comes with enough intensity and urgency at sometimes. And he likes to even that fight against Dawodu. I know he won, but like, did he really win? It was a close fight, and I know the entire media scored it for Dawodu, but I can see it go both ways, and I can see this fight the same way. Go both ways. It's really close at the end, and then But Fili, like, is he going to pick and choose to use his wrestling? I think he can use it here. He was a team alpha male guy. He obviously knows how to grapple. He obviously knows how to wrestle. The guys all he's with is a bunch of wrestlers. So if he pulls the same game, I feel like the Kelvin Gastelum game plan of last week would work so much here. So I'm gonna pick Fili because I feel like he's the better overall martial artist. He's a bit younger, and I really do think Cub is should retire, but what do I know?
All right. That brings us to our last prelim of the night. And I think it's a great fight, actually. We got 12-3 Joe Pyfer versus 16-7 Marc-Andre Barriault. I know I'm going to get a ton of fucking flack for this, but I'm taking Barriault to win this fight. I am not big on Joe Pyfer. I think obviously wicked power. If you can be knocked out and you're going to stand there and eat a shot and go down, yes, he can put you out. He's supposed to have this fantastic wrestling background, but I don't really see it too much. I think what's going to happen here is he's going to get in a striking match with Marc-Andre Barriault. I think he's going to have a good first round. He's probably going to hurt him a few times, and he's going to slow down. He's going to gas. He's going to get his leg chewed up like he did against Jack Hermanson. I don't think Marc-Andre Barriault is quite the leg kicker of Jack Hermanson. Like, he's not just going to play that kicking game. I think he'll crash the pocket a little bit more, which is dangerous. But when he doesn't go away, I think he's going to take over later in the fight. I think Joe Pyfer is going to slow down, and I think Marc-Andre Barriault is going to put the volume on him. Again, is this the fight I'm going to go huge on? No, I realize I believe he's coming in as a plus 250 underdog here, but I am feeling Marc-Andre Barriault in a stand-up match that I think he can out-volume him, and not get knocked out. What do you think?
I like Pyfer because I think that they pushed him a little too hard up against Hermanson so quickly. You got two different types of strikers here too, as well, right? Hermanson dances a little bit, comes on the outside, comes at different angles. Now, this is a kind of fight that's sort of made for Pyfer because Barrios doesn't come at different angles. He just comes straight in. That's the only problem, right? He doesn't work angles and he doesn't enter. He's not cute when he enters. He just enters the pocket, right? And that's what Pyfer is looking for, to be honest with you. And I mean, and when he entered the pocket on Chidi knocked him out. And we know Chidi's not that good, but he knocked him out when Barrio just entered the pocket like that. He hasn't gone up against a real power puncher like that again. I mean, Chris Curtis is for as good as he is. I don't think he's a power puncher as much as people give him credit for. He's a good puncher, but like, and then he beat Eric Anders, he beat Julian Marquez. He lost to Anthony Fluffy, right? And then he beat Jordan Wright. So those aren't great wins, right? And I feel like those are guys that Marc-Andre Barrios should beat. And my biggest problem is that he's on the power disadvantage here. Joe Pyfer, I mean, he's a good young guy and he should be training. The cardio didn't look terrible against Hermanson, but Hermanson made him move around, come and chase him and go in angles and
You really compromised him too with the kicks.
right with the leg kicks. But I feel like you gotta learn. But Barrios doesn't kick like Hermanson. I'll tell you that much. He doesn't, and it's more like hold him up against dirty boxing, sort of hit the pocket like that, right? And I think that's a problem here, coming in on a straight line. And I think he gets caught. I think it's a Pyfer knockout.
Okay, there you have it. We're on opposite ends there.
Mhm.
Moving on to the main card. Please like, please subscribe. We do appreciate it. And kicking off the main card, we got a very fan-friendly fight. We've got Ian Machado Garry, 15, 14 and 0, sorry, going in against Michael Venom Page, 22 and 2. On paper, this is a tall striker versus a tall striker. This is a tough one. Honestly, like every part of me wants to pick Michael Venom Page. I'm just not sure how I'm not sure that I've seen him fight someone as tall as him. I know he's great at range when he can use that length. I don't know if he's going to be able to necessarily style on Ian Machado Garry the way he can on his shorter opponents in the past. Um, I think this fight probably has decision written all over it. I mean, I don't think either of them are like devastating knockout artists. Yes, MVP has some stick highlights. Yes, Machado Garry has a couple nice knockouts. But generally speaking, I don't put them up there with devastating one punch knockout guys. And if they're both such good strikers, I feel like this should play out in a long, drawn out point fight here. Um, I'm going back and forth here. Every part of me wants to pick Michael Venom Page, but I do think Gary's going to decision him. Um, I think he's gonna. Yeah, I think he's going to decision him. What do you think?
Well, I'm just the same thing. This is a close fight. I know Venom Page held the range on Kevin Holland, and you know he did his thing with Kevin Holland. But Machado Garry knows how to do range too, and he's a pretty good grappler. So if they watch any tape, Kevin Holland had his best success when he grappled Michael Venom Page, right? And but the thing is, like rangy striker versus rangy striker, you don't really get into the pocket. You can't really grab that takedown. So I don't know. I think he's younger. I think he's faster, and I think he throws a little bit more volume. And one day I want to fade Ian Machado. I just don't. I can't feel like it's the spot either, right? Like I want to fade him here, but I just don't feel like it's the spot. I know a lot of people that are picking Michael Venom Page because he can hold range. He's a tall, lanky striker, but you don't realize how tall Ian Garry is, how much range Ian Garry has at the same time. And strike for strike, I mean, Ian Garry throws 7 strikes per minute. Like I don't know, man. So like I think he throws enough volume to get this done. And like you said,
Yeah.
I feel like the overs and I feel like this fucking thing goes to decision 100% of the time. I feel like they'll be weary of each other and it's just gonna be a range kickboxing match.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen Machado Garry outstrike other strikers time and time again. D-Rod, I'm not saying D-Rod's as good as MVP. Who's the other guy? Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal's actually a very underrated fighter. That was a close fight too. But one thing that's like until he loses to a striker, it's going to be hard to pick against him in a stand-up fight. I really want to see him fight like a Sean Brady, and I fucking hate Sean Brady. I can't stand him. But at some point, Garry has to face a grappler. I want to see someone who's going to try and take him down. But until he gets that kind of a matchup, I'm going to favor him in most stand-up matches.
I think he's got him. I think he's the more well-rounded guy in this fight, and I think the youth, and the speed have a lot of things to do with this fight too.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We have got former title challenger Mayra Bueno Silva, 10-3 and 1. Sorry, ooh, tongue twister there, versus Macy Chiasson, 9 and 3. On paper, this would look like a classic grappler versus striker. Uh, man, I was pretty big on Bueno Silva, and she has let me down the last couple performances. I don't know, man. I mean, if Macy plays it smart and plays it safe, she should be able to beat her up on the feet and not get tapped out. It's a 3-round fight, not 5. She should be able to be safe. But even Macy's had fucking brain farts too, though. So it's just a fight where I wouldn't overly trust either of these women. I'm gonna lean Macy's striking here to probably win a decision because I don't think Bueno Silva is gonna get knocked out. I don't think. Uh, but either way, I wouldn't be putting my money on these girls. There's better spots to put your money. I wouldn't put my money on them. What do you think?
We're looking at two low volume strikers. One girl that has really good jiu-jitsu but can't wrestle. Another girl that wrestles, and if she wrestles in this fight's an idiot, right? So like, wow, what are you looking at? If Macy likes in the last few fights likes to take down her girls and take her down, beat them up, rear naked choke, whatever, control them on the ground. I think that's a mistake in this. That's exactly where Marion wants to be. But the problem is, Borna Silva would never take the other guy down. Her wrestling's, I feel like it's utter trash, right? And now on the feet, you got both girls don't strike. You're looking at girls that 50 to 60 significant strikes a fight, right? So Jesus Christ, this is your pick'em of pick'ems, right? It's -110, -110. Who the hell do you pick? You say Myra Borna Silva. She's a low volume, can't wrestle, great jiu-jitsu. You got Macy Chiasson, low volume, likes to wrestle, shouldn't wrestle here, and she gasses, right? I don't fucking know. This one's a tough one. Borna Silva's faced a better competition. I feel like she probably knows how to win in these situations. Macy Chiasson has gassed out, so is Borna Silva, but this is a 3-round fight. Honestly, I think this is what's going to happen. I think Macy Chiasson is going to take down Mara Borna Silva like an idiot and get tapped on the ground. Mara Borna Silva by submission. It's going to be an ugly fight, and this is something, unless you're playing a prop at plus money and it's good, stay the hell away.
I hope your prediction is right because I don't want to watch 3 rounds of that shit.
Like these guys are their striking is so robotic and so slow. I don't know what's gonna happen. I feel brain fart Macy Chiasson takes down the jiu-jitsu artist who won't take you down and then gets tapped. Sure.
All right.
That's the prediction.
Moving on to the featured fight, we have got Anthony Smith, 37 and 19, versus moving up in weight, Roman Dolidze, 12 and 3. Obviously, this fight was supposed to be Anthony Smith versus Carlos Ulberg. Ulberg was going to knock him into the 20th century, or fucking tomorrow's, whatever the hell you want to say. I don't know. I fucked that one up, but whatever. Ulberg was going to kill Anthony Smith. I was going to love every second of it. And now Anthony Smith has Roman Dolidze. Much more winnable fight for Smith. However, I still can't pick Anthony Smith. I really can't. I think Anthony Smith is the most arrogant fucking dick in the world. And I think he is scared to strike. He wants nothing to do with striking these days. And most fights recently, his path is going to be to grapple. But does he really want to grapple Roman Dolidze? I don't see a path here for Anthony Smith. Other than being way too big for him potentially, because we haven't really seen Roman Dolidze at 205, or I guess I don't recall seeing him at 205. But Dolidze is a fucking tank of a guy. He might be shorter here, but I don't think he's going to be out muscled or out I don't think he's going to be the weaker guy here. Give me Dolidze to win the fight. I was hoping he was going to be an underdog because moving up in weight class, and I mean it's a much more winnable fight for Smith than Ulberg was, but Dolidze's still the favorite. Give me Dolidze. If they go to the ground, I think Dolidze is fine. He's going to be the better guy. He can scramble, get on top, and if they strike, I think it'll look kind of ugly, but he'll still be throwing the harder shots. So give me Roman Dolidze. What do you think?
I got Roman too, but for different reasons. Anthony, yeah, like you said, he's really been low volume. Aside from that Ryan Spann fight, uh, he doesn't really throw much on the feet. He's been catching submissions, right? Catching submissions, guillotines, or whatever, however you want to put it. That's how he's winning his fights. Catching submissions that he won a split decision against Ryan Spann. That's crazy. And then, you know, submission here, submission there. That's how he does things. The only thing is like Roman's not the highest volume of guys, but he's higher volume than Anthony Smith. Secondly, Roman Dolidze, he might have a better ground game. He never wrestles. He doesn't take anybody down. So this is probably going to be a low volume striking match where I favored Roman to push him up against the cage and just be more gritty. I like the overs in this, unless Roman hits him with a big tank of a shot. Anthony Smith's been hurt before and survived, right, against Johnny Walker. And for some reason, I think the overs are the way to play this fight. I'm hoping the 1.5 over is plus money because I hit that 1.5 over that one last week where it was like plus 180 on the Gazugulev against the Brazilian guy. He was plus 180 and the fight to go decision was plus 500. I hit both of those because yo, when you're a decision guy, you're a decision guy, right? And Roman's fights go longer because A, he has a pretty good chin, so he's not going to get knocked out. And two, he doesn't push action, right? He's not a big action pusher. If you push action on him, he'll push action on you. Like when Hermanson took him down, then he got caught in the calf splicer or whatever, right? But you got to remember Roman never pushed that action, right? So Yeah, I think this is a slow-paced fight, and I like the overs. Roman Dolidze should win, though.
All right, moving on to the co-main event. We've got Brian T City Ortega 16-3 versus Diego Lopes 24-6. Lopes is coming off of that, or Lopez, what I don't know if it's Lopes or Lopez. He's coming off that amazing first round knockout of Hakeem Dawodu.
No, Super
And
City.
what's that? Oh,
Super
sorry. Yes, you're
City.
right. Sorry. Fuck, mixing up the black guys, eh? And Brian Ortega is coming off the comeback win and finish over Yair Rodriguez. So they're both coming off stoppage wins. Um, Lopes just looks like or Lopez looks like an absolute unit when I see him. He looks like he's just packed on the muscle. He looks like he's going to be way more explosive. He's got the youth. Ortega has shown a chin. I can't really say he should get knocked out. I mean, he does have a chin. He does have the jujitsu. His wrestling's okay. Uh, I'm gonna lean with the kid here. I'm gonna go with Diego Lopes, whatever. I hope he knocks out Ortega because I've never been a fan of Ortega. But like I said, Ortega is a durable guy. Ortega throwing up and snatching a sub late in the fight wouldn't be shocking by any means. But I'm gonna root for the kid. I'm gonna root for the bad haircut, and I'm gonna hope he keeps rolling. And I hope he. I really want to see him get that rematch against Movsar Evloev. That was a hell of a fight, and I would favor him in a rematch, to be honest. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. This is a good fight. This is going to tell us a lot about Diego. I hope Diego keeps it going. The division needs some fresh contenders here, but I obviously realize Brian's no joke. What do you think?
Oh, I knew we were going to be on opposite sides here. I'm on the Ortega side. I feel like Lopes got the power, but Ortega's got the chin. So early on, if he can't not, if he doesn't, I don't think he knocks him out. And Ortega's striking is no joke either, right? It's gotten way better over the years, right? Remember that fight against Korean Zombie? Oh, that jab was killer that day, right? So I also think his wrestling's better than Lopes, and Lopes was controlled in that Evloev fight, and he showed that he can be controlled. And I feel like he has to weather a storm there, Ortega, in the first round and a half. And if he can weather that storm, Lopes will fade because I don't think he's built to go that long because he's very explosive, right? And T City, for all his faults, the good thing is his toughness, right? And he always comes through. And there's a ton of Brian Ortega fights. If you go back on his record, how he's lost the first round and just come back and win. You know what I mean? I think he's just the more experienced guy, has the more experience, fights, knows how to win fights like this against a hype train. And I just think, you know, Lopes is good though. Don't get me wrong. Lopes is good. But I just think Ortega one more shot for him. I think he's just the more well-rounded guy here. But Lopes has got I'm not saying this is a tough fight to call. I'm gonna put a unit or two on Ortega just because he's plus money. Think about it this way: if Lopes was plus money here, I probably would. I feel like it's a money play on this because you're getting so much experience for plus money against guys like this. Yair is the same sort of fighter. Come right after fucking Ortega, right after him, went after him, killed him in that first round. Well, what happens, right? Ortega just
But Yair has no takedown defense, and Movsar Evloev is a hell of a wrestler. I don't think Brian
Yeah, but
Ortega
you've
is the
seen
wrestler.
Ortega can take guys down. We've seen this. And the only and the last thing I have to say is only two losses against Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, right? So it's tough company to put Lopes in Alexander Volkanovski and Holloway's bucket, right? So that's where I'm having trouble. I can't put him in that bucket. So for that reason, I'm picking Ortega.
Fair enough. And moving on to our main event, we have got the rematch. Alex Pereira, 10-2 versus Yuri Prochazka, 34-1. These guys have 40 victories between them, and 37 of them are finishes. So I can tell you right now, I know that you love to play these overs when when you think two knockout guys are
Not
getting in
this
there.
one.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I cannot get behind that here. I think
Not
we are
this
looking
one.
at an under 2.5 knockout. And I love both guys. Both guys I absolutely love. I don't even want to see one of these guys knocked out, but one of them is going fucking night night. And truth be told, neither could shock you. Like it just wouldn't shock me to see Alex face down. Wouldn't shock me to see Yuri face down. Um, what's the odds? Just wondering, what's the odds here?
Minus 150 or 160 for Alex. Plus one. 20-ish.
If somebody hits plus 200, I would jump on them. Honestly, I would because I truly believe either guy could knock the other out. Like no doubt about it. Um, I'll lean Alex Pereira, but a Yuri first round knockout wouldn't be shocking either. Either way, I'm going to be looking at the unders. If I can get somewhat close to even money, if it's like under 2.5 rounds, I will fucking slam fucking that bet and not have to pick a side because one of them is getting knocked out. I'm all over a knockout here. What do you think?
I watched that site. I watched their fight back, and arguably Yuri was could have. Lots of judges could have said he was winning that fight up to that point, and you know, I think it was an early stoppage. Yuri has to let his wits about him at the same time. You got to let him fight through that in a title eliminator like that. And same thing I said about that Cannonier Imavov fight. I feel like it was an early stop. They're stopping fights early, guys, these days. So you got to watch out for that kind of shit. But anyway, if he employs the ground game, because Yuri does have a really good. Yeah, that's what happened when Rakic, you know what I mean? Like he took the best that Rakic had to offer in the first round, then used the ground game. I think he needs to fucking fight Poatan the same way. Problem is, he likes to stick his head out there and then move it back. Stick his head out there and move it.
And that front leg, he got his leg chewed up. He
That's the
better have
problem
learned.
too, but Alex is coming off that broken foot and broken toes thing, so I don't know how much that's going to affect him. I don't know. It's all speculation here at this point. But honestly, I feel like if Yuri can use that ground game, I feel like, did he really ever lose the title? These are the two best guys at the division fighting right now, man. Like,
Ankalaev there too.
I don't know. So boring sometimes. Love the guy. Well-rounded fuck, but Jesus. Come on, he doesn't go up. I don't know. This one's
Hey,
tough.
these are the two most exciting guys.
I'm kind of leaning Yuri, and it's weird. I love Alex, but I'm kind of leaning Yuri. I feel like Alex didn't really hit him. He hit him on while he was sitting down on him. It was a weird knockout, that first one, and I feel like it was so early. And fuck, Yuri could have. Yuri will snatch a sub on the ground. Yuri's not Jan Blachowicz on the ground, right? He'll do it. He subbed Glover Teixeira in the fifth round, right? It's in a fucking close fight. So I'm not saying this fight's anywhere thing. This is a close fight. Either one can. I think the under is probably the best play. The under 2.5, under 1.5, under 2.5 would be safe enough. I'm leaning Yuri. I might change my bet. I love Alex, but I just don't think Yuri's going to stand up the whole fight like a Jamal Hill and be stubborn like that. I think Yuri will employ a little grappling. And I know Alex trains with Glover and he should have the grappling down, but there's levels to this stuff, and no one's really tested Alex on the ground, right? So maybe this is the first test. I'm not going to lay a whole bunch of money, but I think I like the underdog. I think I do.
Yeah. Hey, I love the underdog. I love both these guys. Like I said, love them both. I think whatever side you're on, pick the guy to finish regardless. You don't even have to play under 2.5. Just pick inside the distance if you're on a side because you're going to get way better value. And I will actually be laying quite a bit on this fight on the under, not on a fighter, on the under.
I like
Um,
the under, man.
I
I would think I put like 2 or 3 units on the under, but I know it's going to be juiced, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm hotel living Thursday to Sunday, but if I can sneak off for a little bit, I will. Maybe we'll drop a prop video if I can. No promises, but we're gonna try to get that out to you possibly, and we'll see what the best spots are there for you. I think it is a good card. I know there's no Connor. Fuck, all the Connor fanboys are sad about it, but this is a good main event. It is a pretty good card. I'm pumped for it. And drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know who you like. Let us know your favorite bet, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one, guys. How were we for time?